on the table. Is that, we're gonna leave it all on the table. What's the saying? We're gonna put it.
You leave it on the floor. You leave things on the floor and you put things on the table.
Leave it on the field.
Yeah. If you're playing football, you leave it on the field. If you're playing basketball, you leave it on the floor.
Poker, leave it on the table.
Leave it on the table? I don't know.
We're gonna
You put it on the table.
We're gonna flop it out and slam it on the table. And we're gonna leave it there and we're not gonna regret it today. Because regrets can be a downer, but I don't think it has to be. We ask you to tell us what your regrets were. And Uindo said, is that Uindo? I regret nothing in life. If I hadn't done the things I did, I wouldn't be where I am now. No need to regret anything. Just learn from it and move on. And then Therese on Twitter replied and said, I second that statement. I think people spend too much time dwelling in the past and it wastes so much time in the present. All it does is lead to more regret down the road.
Okay, well let's just.
Guess you're not going to listen to this podcast.
I was just gonna say let's pack it up. Let's go do something. You remember?
We might regret not having a conversation.
You remember how sometimes we used to just go see a movie? Remember those days?
On a work day?
Like we could do it because we had time, and also you could go to the movie theater.
Yeah, neither one of those things
is available at this point. But so we should do this podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to regret not doing it.
But I sympathize with this. We've talked about I don't know, many different times we've told the story of how we did this and it led to make a decision to do something because it'll lead to something else. Everything that we've ever really done was never according to the original plan or intention.
Well,
very little of it.
I think what Briuindo is saying, or at least the way I interpret, if you're happy with where you are, and you really can't regret things because if you changed it, it may have a ripple effect that you wouldn't end up being where you are. So you might as well just say, a regret is just a learning opportunity. And I just think we're just using those terms interchangeably. A regret is something that, if presented with the same situation now, you'd do something differently.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have something in mind?
No. Well, yes. So when I think about like professional things or relational things, I don't entertain the possibility of regrets in those areas. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes in both areas, but because I'm happy where I'm at professionally and I'm happy where I'm at relationally, I wouldn't want it to be any different, just like what you were just saying. So I tend to think, when I think about regrets, they're very personal. They're just things that are just like, it's just you, bro. Just it was up to you, and you couldn't do it, but it wouldn't have affected anything else. That's not how time works. I've seen back to all three parts. And, did you hear? There's a fourth part coming up.
I'm getting confused with Bill and Ted.
So I think the thing that comes to mind for me is my health.
Oh, are you going to get it? I thought you were just going to tease it.
Oh.
Go for it. Talk about your health. I mean, you're going to talk about your back again. Every time we turn around, you're talking about your back.
I'm not going to talk about it much.
Is there something in your mouth?
Yeah.
What's your problem?
I think I got something out of my mustache and then it went in my mouth.
Why are you getting it out? I'll tease what mine is.
And then I think I just swallowed it. Happens a lot when you've got facial hair like this.
I regret the review that I wrote on Airbnb for the place that I stayed on my vacation that I talked about last episode. I wrote the review yesterday.
How much time do you have to write a review?
It's a little
after the thing.
They kept prompting me. You need to do this. You need to do this. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I just did it. And then when I got home last night, I was thinking, man, I gotta think about my regret. And then I couldn't come up with anything at all. I couldn't. No regret came to my mind. It was just like I have lived a whole life. Why is anything coming to me? I guess that's a good sign. But then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, I realized that I was actively regretting the review that I wrote.
I'm looking forward to hearing it. My wife just wrote the review for our Airbnb.
Do you regret not writing it yourself?
No.
So what's your health thing?
it took me until in my late 30s before I actually began to do the things for my back that help it, right? Because like, you know,
Yeah.
I hurt my back on vacation. I'm 98% now, and it's been just a week since I hurt it, right? You know, remember all those times where I would hurt my back and I would be out for like the whole summer.
Yeah, I had to pull so much extra weight.
Yeah. We would have meetings and I would be on my back. So if I had done that when
I do my
when
best
I was
work horizontal.
in my 20s, who knows what would be the case. And also therapy. But here's the thing. I wasn't ready for therapy. I wasn't ready for therapy until I was ready. So I guess I don't have any regrets. I wish I had dealt with some of the things that I'm dealing with, but
This is still
I
kinda
don't
nebulous for
I
you.
don't see how I would have gotten to it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't ready to get to those things.
More regrets started flooding in for me. I think I am the type of guy who's like, I mean, the one that came to my mind that I've already shared on Ear Biscuits is when I decided to respond to the text to the friend who we fell out of touch with each other.
Yeah, you should.
And then I like wrote this long text back, and like I read it, and then I've already talked about that one. That was definitely a regret. If I had to do that again, I wouldn't have written that text. I would have written something differently.
Well, and
We've
just-
already been through that.
Right, but I mean, I feel like I need the 15-second summary, which was a guy was reaching out to you just to say, hey, haven't seen you in a while. You responded, I don't want to be friends.
I don't have room for you in my life.
Right, you shut down the potential.
I wish I
friendship.
did, but I don't. And then the update there, he was like, I mean, there was some back and forth, and I gave the whole thing in an ear biscuit, right? So I just can't go through all of it. You can find it amongst the forums. But I don't think I gave the update. Christy and I were out on a date, and then Christy went to the bathroom, and she comes back to the table, and she says, guess who's over at the bar? And it was him. He was at the bar with it turns out he has another friend.
Good.
He wasn't just hanging everything on me, or at least he certainly got the message to get another one.
He got that friend after you sent him that
And I'm
text.
like, crap, what do I do? Christy? She's like, well, just go over and talk to him. You know, that was in the past. And I went over and I was like,
And don't say anything about the text. Right, Link?
you don't want to rehash it.
Hopefully she did tell you. She did not tell you that, or you did.
I can't remember exactly.
Because you're the guy that will send the text, but you're also the guy that will talk about the text the next time you see
I
it.
regret it so much. I wish I wouldn't have sent that. I don't think I said any of that to him. I have a hard time remembering because very quickly he graciously changed the subject and was just having a normal conversation, introducing me to his friend. And it was over. But I still regret it. I mean, I'll share the Airbnb thing because I was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have sent that. The place was in the title. It had the word luxury.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay. That's
I was looking for a place
promising something.
near the beach. You can't find a whole lot of them, and especially with the time frame that I was looking, and it was
close to
it was close
departure.
to the time of departure. So I found this place. I mean, everything was great about it. You know, I talked about it last week, but in their description, it was like luxury beach. You know, walk to the beach. That was like the title. And so my review was, we really enjoyed the place. It was really well appointed. It was really well decorated.
But
I'm paraphrasing. I love the open floor plan.
Sure,
We
talk about
really-
the open floor.
We really enjoyed it because it allowed our family to enjoy being together, eating and playing games. And there wasn't, I like the fact that there wasn't a television in the main room because it made it where screens weren't a constant fight, but that there was another TV room that we could enjoy. And the kids particularly enjoyed the keyboard. I'm like leaving, I don't know why, I just started leaving all these things in the...
To be this detailed?
Because I would have liked to know all this information. Oh, the TV's in a different room, but there's also a keyboard in there, and the open floor
You
plan.
mean you can control the TV with a keyboard? Like one of those keyboard
Two
remotes?
separate. No, it's just a keyboard,
Oh, like a piano.
like a piano. They enjoyed the piano.
I think you should go back and in parentheses put, I'm talking about a piano. Because I I thought like when you said
I think I
TV
said
and then
my-
the keyboard.
I think I said something like my musically minded kids particularly enjoyed the keyboard. I was saying things like this.
You're one of those guys.
Well, I was just thinking everything that I wish I would have known that when I read all the reviews, they were. Oh, I'll come back. It's a great place. The backyard is amazing. The pictures don't do it justice.
That's the kind of thing people were saying.
Yeah, and the
Luxury.
And I said, new paragraph. So that was the first paragraph.
Oh, this is multi-paragraph.
Second paragraph was about that backyard, because that's where all my high expectations were. And I said, the backyard was. I said something like it was a haven of relaxation. I said something like that. I said, and it was beautiful. However,
It was not luxury.
there was a second property in the back corner of the lot.
And there was a dude in a window like looking at you like this whole time.
So you didn't have a sense of
Privacy.
complete privacy.
Yeah.
You couldn't, and this is me writing, you couldn't see the entrance to that house on the lot was not visible to us, and you couldn't see in the windows, and vice versa.
Well, then what's the problem? It's a wall? You got your Supermans on the other side of it? I don't understand.
I said there were windows, and they opened them so I could see like a ceiling fan turning, and I could tell that there was people in it, and I was like, so that probably explains why they place such an emphasis on quiet hours outside beginning at 8 o'clock.
I think that's the case in many Airbnbs at the beach because we had people on both sides
Yeah,
the same
I
way.
had people on both sides. They had neighbors.
Like 4 feet away.
But listen, there was a fence, and so there was a sense of this is my space, and I'm going out here to enjoy this luxury of these trees. It was beautiful.
Your wife put it on Instagram.
She put it
I
on
saw
Instagram. Yeah, and then there's like an outdoor seating area.
She seemed happy.
She's like taking a nap out there. But I just felt no one had mentioned in any of the reviews that there was another property on the lot.
Yeah, the
And
guy in
though
the window.
You couldn't see the front door, but you could see the windows. You couldn't see anyone through the windows, and they couldn't see you. But I knew there were people in there, and you don't have a sense of complete privacy. And that's all I said.
Do you know why no one else mentioned this?
And then I went to my third paragraph, and I said some things about the
I guess you're not going to.
The walk to the beach, I'm coming back to it. I said the walk to the beach was a little farther than I anticipated, and you had to cross a railroad track.
Okay, well,
But
let me just guess, because when I see walk to the beach or short walk to the beach,
yeah, I don't think you have to cross a railroad track.
Well, railroad track doesn't impact the timing unless there's a train, right?
Yeah,
And then at that point, all bets are off, especially if it's
I never saw a
a
train.
freight train and not a passenger train. 'Cause those are extra long. Sometimes so long you're like, when did
I
trains
never
get so
saw
long?
a train. I didn't write about that.
Okay, so railroad track not a problem. It's just a feature that you can walk across. For me, it's about the timing. Anything longer than 10 minutes is not a short walk to the beach. I feel like 5 minutes is like
I
you're
think
almost
it said
on
like
the beach.
12-minute walk to the beach.
Oh, but it gave you the minutes?
But
you
it-
can't complain.
but
Did
it-
you time it?
No, and it.
You
because
complaining about it
I
and they
never
gave you
walked
the
it.
time.
I never walked it. It was too far, and it didn't meet my
You
expectations.
can't say.
But I said, I
You
did
can't say
drive.
the walk is farther than I expected when you told me it was 12 minutes is what I should expect. If they put the time in there, you can't be mad about that. If they said short walk to the beach and then it was 12 minutes, I'm like, buddy, that's over the 10-minute threshold.
They said just like
That's
a
not
12-minute walk
luxury.
to the beach.
That's not.
It was longer than 12 minutes. Is really what I'm getting at.
Okay.
You got to cross a train track. Some people may care about that.
I doubt it.
And so I think I'm being really helpful, and I'm typing away. And
There's
I'm
a
like,
train track. There's a boy in the window who
Yeah.
stares at you when you're in
And
the
I'm like,
hammock in the back.
I mean, there was a trampoline way back there, and it was much closer to this property. And if you wanted to look at my kid in the trampoline, you could peer out of
Well,
the.
that goes both ways. If you jump high enough, you can look into their window.
It does go both ways, and I don't
You
like
can
that.
get up and see below the ceiling fan and see the family
So
at the top of every jump.
everything that I didn't read in any of the reviews, I put in my review. And then I said,
Do you see that as your role?
By the way, I'm not one of those people that leave reviews anywhere.
That's why this is so entertaining to me.
But I feel like, so I'm not good at it. Apparently I did it all wrong, but I was detailed, and I wrote it for the me that was coming next, and I didn't want to have any regrets. Ironically, thinking about it later, even though I closed the review with, would love to stay here again.
That's one of those reviews where, was this review helpful? Everyone's like, no. It's like, because I'm so confused. He's complaining about everything, but he wants to stay there again. I don't know how to take this.
So then I regret, I started thinking about the owners of the house and how they probably set up that other property back there in order to, they had to make extra money. Maybe that was them living in that other house while we lived in their house. And they're just trying to make ends meet. COVID and nobody's coming through the beach, and I started to feel really guilty and regret leaving this anal and detailed review of this place. And I think maybe I decimated their business model. Like now everyone is going to see, well, there's another property in the backyard. I'm not gonna stay here. It doesn't have a sense of complete privacy.
Don't give yourself that much credit. How many reviews were there on this property?
44.
Oh no, you made no impact.
I went and looked at my review because I just wanted to read the review to you.
They haven't posted it yet.
It's not on there.
Well,
so now I feel even worse.
No. Here's the deal. Because Jessie literally, right before we started recording this podcast, because I asked her, posted the review for our Airbnb.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I just took something out and didn't know what it was.
That's the place where you just have air and breakfast.
And she said, it's not posted yet. So I think there is some sort of like...
I think they have to review me too.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can see my review.
Yeah,
I can't see their review, and they can't see my review until they're both reviewed.
Yeah, so blindness, mutual blindness.
But then I told Chrissy, and she was like, no, this is... I mean, it might have been a little too detailed, but I think if people are interested in it, they'll be interested. And if not, they'll think that you're a crazy person.
When they see 3 or 4 paragraphs, they'll stop reading.
I love that. When I'm renting a place for like a week and I'm taking my family, I want to know there's a railroad track. I want to know.
Do you know how many reviews there were on the house that we rented?
I don't know. Why would I even guess? Does it matter?
One.
There
was 1 review. Now, I told Jessie.
That's risky.
I was like, I don't feel good about it. It was a 5-star review, and it was one of these places that they've just started renting it.
Written by the cousin of the owner.
And I'm like, you never should do this. You should never stay at a place. You should never be the guinea pig. But again, it was late notice. We kind of planned this vacation where we were going to go. Yeah, I was like, okay, let's just bite the bullet and do it. And then we had a number of things that we were. I told you last week I was upset about the hot tub. I didn't tell you about the mice.
I don't want to hear about the mice.
Yeah, they were very
crawling around.
They were the most luxurious mice you can imagine. But
were they crawling on you when you were sleeping?
No, but
were they on dishes that you were going to use?
They were only seen one time, and it was by Locke's friend who's living with us. Again, the one that
chore boy.
Yeah, he spots everything for us. He's also the mouse spotter. He saw the mouse, and we saw the poop, and Jessie was kind of freaked out about that. They brought somebody over to like set traps. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. The bed was too soft and hurt my back, but I felt bad. Like, you can't complain about that because, like, you can't be like, the bed's too soft. Just like people be like, what's wrong with you, man? A lot of times you'll see the bed's too hard.
I thought about saying the bed was too hard, but I didn't.
So I was like, you can't say the bed's too soft.
I chose my battles.
That's my issue. I got a bad back. I'm not going to be that unreasonable.
Oh, you got a bad back? Let's talk about that some more.
But you know what else? I think the reason that your critique of the lack of privacy is the part that you should regret is because
it was on the property.
We had the same thing. And there was a guy there. And I knew it was the same house because it was on the same, it was like you go in the backyard and then there's like a house that like faces the other way and it's the garage, which we couldn't get into.
Mm-hmm.
But they had designed it in a way where there were no windows facing into the yard. Like it was a completely blank wall, as if they thought like, oh, there's going to be other people back here. We want to have this sense of privacy. in the backyard. But the guy did come out a few times and like walk down to the trash can, and I just made eye contact with him. I didn't even nod.
That's the beauty of, like, I prefer the Airbnbs when you never see the person who you're renting from. They just give you the code to the door, and you communicate with them over text.
But I'm saying
through
that's a
the
lot
app.
to ask.
But it is, and that's why I regret it.
That's a lot to ask. I mean, you got to pay big money. You want that kind of privacy at the Southern California beaches.
Yeah, and I bet you that's what they were saying. It's like, God, this guy, I hate this guy.
Right. They hate you. They definitely hate you.
But I'm going back. So I kind of regret that. I don't know.
Oh, and when Jesse wrote the review,
You think I should regret it? That seems to be your stance.
No, I don't. I mean, I think if anything, you should regret the time that you took.
Yeah.
I think the information will be helpful to somebody.
It flowed like water. It didn't take long at all.
I asked Jessie what she said about it, and she was like, I just said it was a really nice house with a couple of issues or something like that. But like,
Well, if you don't say the issues.
well, she won't. I mean, she's not really responding to my text right now. She must be busy. So I don't know if she regrets it or not. We're going to get into your regrets, and maybe that will give us more ideas about some of our regrets that we've had. But first, we're going to tell you a couple of things. We always tell you about mythical.com. You should go there and get cool mythical merch. Yeah, you've heard that before. But here's the new thing that we're gonna tell you, and that is, if you're watching this and if you're hearing this, you are watching it because we only do this part for those of you who watch on YouTube. Might you consider subscribing to this Ear Biscuits
You made it
channel?
this far. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell.
Yeah, subscribe and click the bell. It helps us out. There's a whole different experience here that you get to see. You get to see that I've got on a white T-shirt, and Link's got on a light blue T-shirt. I mean, you don't hear that. You can't hear that.
It's unhearable.
You can only see that.
It's colors.
Or can you hear colors? That sounds like a GMM episode.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So subscribe to this channel, please. And also
Right now, you can do it as you're listening.
Yeah. That's the cool part.
thing.
You
It's
don't
like,
have to pause or
thank
anything.
You just did it. Oh, wow, thank you.
We felt that. Ooh, when you click that bell, I feel it.
Really?
Click that bell again. No, don't click it again because you'll just click it once.
Click it an odd number
of times. Yeah.
Mythical.com, rep your boys. Regret. I'll float a question out there that we don't have to answer. We can just kind of percolate on it. Is it better to regret something you did or let's filter that through these. That's
What it is that it was.
quoting the philosopher Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who was quoting lyrics from the band the Butthole Surfers in a song called Deep Kick, where you shouldn't let Flea sing. I will say that.
Well, I have an answer, but I'll say it. This
I don't think
regret
there's a correct answer.
is from Janny.
Hey,
Janet
Janny?
C23 on Twitter. My parents have been saving a rum bottle since their wedding day to open on their 25th anniversary. Okay? 25th anniversary. One night, me and my ex were at my house alone, and we drank almost the entire bottle.
On purpose?
I had no idea it was from their wedding. I've
Okay.
never owned up to it.
Oh, they don't know. So which part does she regret? The drinking of it or the not owning up to it? Because if she didn't know, she said, I had no idea it was from their wedding. It's just later she's like, somebody drank our 25th anniversary rum. Janny, can you believe that? Or is it possible that rum evaporates when you get closer, like after 20 years of marriage?
It doesn't evaporate in one night. Well, I think the answer to that question is simple. You can regret something that you did not know was wrong at the time, for sure. But you can't. You can feel bad about it. But you can't blame yourself if you didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, if the liquor cabinet was free reign, and it was just that particular bottle choice, and you had no way of knowing.
This is your parents' fault.
Should have had a label.
This is your parents' fault. If this bottle of rum,
feeling bad, but
you shouldn't.
I understand your decision, unless it's something you're not telling.
If you've got something that is special to you, in any household, drink, food, like something that like,
Label.
I am going to be mad if someone else consumes this. And there is not a pre-existing agreement like everything on this shelf is mine. Because there are a lot of houses where roommates share fridges and like they do the shelf system. So if there's not a predetermined system of claiming what's what, if it's not labeled, you cannot get mad about it.
And you don't, my 10-year-olds figured this out. There's Post-it notes everywhere. You know, there's a Post-it note on the mirror of his bathroom that says, "Don't use my towel, use your towel." And it's a note to Lincoln because they share a bathroom. He gets mad because Lincoln uses his
Lando says that to Lincoln?
Yeah. Apparently Lincoln uses the nearest hand towel, which is Lando's, not the one that
Uses the hand towel for what?
his hands.
Hold on, they have separate hand towels?
Yeah.
That's a Neil household.
There's 2 sinks.
Hold on.
It's a double sink.
It's one thing to share to not share a body. Yeah, don't go there.
Hand towel. Lando made a Post-it note. Don't use my hand towel, use yours.
What's he worried about on Lincoln's hands?
It's just damp. You don't want to, it's like you get up and you want a nice fresh.
He wants a dry towel.
You don't want it to be damp with somebody else's dampness. I think the thing you should regret, Danny, is not owning up to it. I mean, it was an honest mistake. There was no label. That's what's eating away at you, just the tension that it's going to be brought up and you're going to be found out. You're making yourself much guiltier than you should be. And you know what? I relate.
Well, here's the best thing to do right now, Janny, because I agree that you need to own up to this. The simplest way to do that is just to send your parents this podcast episode. And there's, you know, if you're
I have to listen for quite a while.
If you're a tech-savvy person, you can do that thing where you link directly to the time code, whatever, and just send it to them. And hey, thank you for joining us, Janet's parents. We're sorry about what your daughter did, but I will say, you know what? It's not her fault. It's your fault. She should have told you, but she's telling you now. While you're at it, subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah, click the bell. Yeah, and label your stuff. I mean, if it's that important to you. And there's also a reason why Jenny and her ex are broken up now, because they've just been so eaten up over this.
And also,
they couldn't even stay together.
Drinking just a straight bottle of rum, as you know, you've got experience with that.
Yeah.
That leads nowhere good.
Yeah, especially if a bathtub is involved.
If you're not a pirate currently on duty, do not drink straight rum and nothing else.
What if it's labeled? If you're a pirate and it's labeled, "This is for our 25th wedding anniversary,"
you should be. Yeah,
you should take it.
Yeah,
because
you
that's
should be stealing things. That's what you're
pirate.
That's how you say true to pirate. Yeah.
Let's hear another regret. This is uplifting.
This is from Sam P23. Another 23. 23 is our number today. Getting a tattoo of Wreck-It Ralph riding a wrecking ball with Miley's "I came in like a wrecking ball" under it. It was funny at first. Now I'm stuck with it for life. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and I mean, we agree. It was funny at first.
I think it's
even
still funny.
At this point in our conversation, it's kind of wearing off. Like, I mean, in the time it takes to do that tattoo, I don't know, it's not really that funny.
But
I wonder where it is.
it depends on two things: where it is and how many other tattoos you have, right? But I would say, regardless of the situation, even if it's your only tattoo and it's on your forehead, I mean, like, let's just say it's the worst possible combination of
I
those
think
two
this
things.
is, let's see, came in like a wrecking ball. I think this one should be right below the waistband.
Right. It's all about the way that you just think about it. If you saw somebody with that tattoo, and the thing is you wouldn't ask them anything about it. You would just make assumptions about them. But if you got into a conversation with them, then it would be a really funny conversation to start. But
What would that be? Hey,
No,
I like your tattoo.
Well, tell me about your tattoos.
Well, he'd probably say, I like your tattoo. I don't know.
It's like, yeah, I thought it was funny at the time. Wreck-It Ralph, Wrecking Ball. It was a cultural moment.
Okay. That's what you can't do, Sam. Don't wallow in your regret. Don't converse about your regret. If anyone's going to talk about the tattoo, just own it. Act like you don't regret it. Because it doesn't, you have it, it makes you, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it makes you, it makes it worse when you're like, you apologize. You're like, yeah. I mean, even it is what it is, you know, is better than something. Own it. Yeah. I wish I didn't do it. No, don't own the mistake. Own that you have it, and don't pull somebody else and don't make it a downer. Like, we've made this podcast about talking about regret. Don't do that with people you talk to. Don't engage in regret just in casual conversation, because it's a downer. We're professionals. We know how to keep it up.
But what if it's somebody that you're trying to impress, or you think there might be a future friendship or relationship
if it's a
with
first date, you could be like, yeah, I'm looking for something to go over this, and I think it might be this.
Yeah. Well,
I meant get a new tattoo. I wasn't talking about it.
But that is one strategy. What I was going to say was, I just think simply saying, you know what? I thought it was funny at the time. You see somebody make eye contact with you, I thought it was funny at the time. You know what? Still believe it.
Well, if you're gonna do that, tattoo that on you.
Okay, that's a good update.
I thought this was funny at the time.
I thought this was funny in 1998 or whatever it was. And this was actually not that long ago if it was Wrecking Ball. So on and so forth. Lost track of time. What about, we had a friend who, there was the kids in high school that started getting tattoos their senior year when they turned 18, right? There's especially back in 1996 when we were moving into our senior year of high school. There were the kids that turned 18 and got tattoos, and it was like, oh, really? I'm sure that's a lot more common than it is now. And also, there's a lot of kids who are younger than that who go in with their parents' permission.
You talking about Pearl Jam tattoo, or you talking about Tasmanian Devil
I'm
tattoo?
talking about Tasmanian. I'm just thinking about both, but I wanted to talk about Tasmanian Devil. Because we had a friend who came to school one day, and he had gotten a full color. Like, it looked like I had just tuned into a cartoon. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was a freeze frame from a Warner Brothers. Is that where the Tasmanian Devil's from?
I don't know.
It was the Tasmanian Devil ripping out of his delt and coming to say hello. And but in a spin, he was coming out. He had broken through in the Tasmanian Devil spin. The way
tornado.
And even at that age, at that time, we felt
not
bad
a good
for
look.
him.
Not a good look. It's tough. It's tough to.
No way he still got that.
It's tough to react to a tattoo.
No way he still got that tattoo.
I bet he does.
Do you think it's got covered up with other things?
Yeah. I bet he's got it.
Because the one you're thinking about right now, the Pearl Jam tattoo was covered up by college.
Yep, that's true.
Like literally, like 2 years later, the Pearl Jam tattoo was completely covered up. And that wasn't even that bad of a tattoo.
No, it wasn't. And now I think it's come back. It's like it's headed that long. Now's a good time to have Pearl Jam tattoo.
Can you get one layer of a cover-up tattoo removed to reveal a previous tattoo?
Like an archaeological tattoo removal?
It's just like, do you want the tattoo that you used to regret? Can Dr. Tatoff do that?
No. I don't know how poison ivy works, apparently, according to everybody.
Very clear.
But I do know how Tatoffs work.
What about this? Mythical Alina. Eating a soggy burrito. I tried to heat it up in a pan, but it stuck. So I scraped it off and ate it wet. Ate a wet, cold burrito that was also hot in some spots.
Oh.
It had avocado and shrimp in it, too. Ooh. I vomited just thinking. That's very specific. That's very specific regret.
Yeah, that is specific. I've never tried to heat up a burrito like that. Whenever I have the second half of a burrito, I just eat it cold.
Do you do this with other foods or just burrito?
Most
What about
think-
pizza?
Cold. Fried chicken, cold.
Well, yeah, but both of those things that you mentioned, fried pizza, fried chicken and pizza kind of have their own character cold, but a burrito doesn't have character cold.
Like a Chipotle burrito, they're so huge, I'll cut them in half, and then I'll unwrap the foil and I'll just eat the second half.
It's difficult to heat up, I will give you that.
It's not that good. One of the things that I regret, I don't know why this pops into my head, but it's a bit sad, but bear with me. Remember when we went on that off-roading trip with the group of people that we didn't know? And the one guy was the leader, the organizer of the trip, and like it's a four-day trip in Death Valley. It was the first time we went. He was the leader, and then he this tragic thing happened to him when like his child passed away.
Right.
His young child. And he lived a long ways away, like lived in Northern California.
Yeah.
But our friend Nick knew him better because like he had connected with him, met him, and that's how we got him. That's how he got invited to the trip, and then we got invited, and we got to know him some. Nick knew him better, but I had an opportunity to go with Nick up to the funeral service, and I just for some reason I really regret not going. Like I feel like it was one of those things where it's like that was the right thing to do, and yeah, I had my rationale. It was like we would have had to. It was so far that we'd have to stay overnight, or like it was a long freaking drive to get to where this thing was, and then it's like I only knew him at this one trip. It's not. We're not actually friends. It was very easy to say, "Well, it's not my place to go there," but then it kind of eats away at me. Even now, like I didn't go because I felt like, when somebody goes through something that horrible, people I didn't expect came out of the woodwork just to show up. And I know it was a long drive. I think it would have meant a lot to them that somebody who barely knew him took the time to go up. I think Nick went anyway. So maybe I think too highly of myself. I don't know. It's weird that I fixate on that.
Yeah, right. Listen, because I'm not. First of all, I think in some circumstances, you gotta let yourself off the hook. Listen, because in my mind, the moment that I begin thinking about all the things that I could do, all the choices that I could make that would be selfless or whatever, I'm gonna have all kinds of regrets, right? In that particular situation, obviously I felt horrible about what was going on, but we literally, like, Nick had been on multiple trips with him and like talked to him on the phone, was a friend, like we went on a trip that had 4 or 5 cars and a caravan, and like there was a couple of times where we like had a conversation while we were sitting on fire.
He would probably have a hard time remembering her.
It would have, in my mind, it would have been a little bit strange for you to go. That's my take. So I definitely don't think you should feel bad.
Yeah, I guess I just feel so bad for him.
I completely get that.
So that I would. I think that's why it stays in my brain, is because it was such a tragic thing that like I actually it moved me, but it didn't actually.
I get it.
I think that's why it stuck in.
And I'm not trying, I'm sure some people would interpret what I'm saying as cold-hearted, but I'm saying that I think, and I have, it's not. I have sympathy for the guy, but I don't know. There's a lot. I feel like there's lots of situations because when you think about it,
here's
think about this. I mean, Jesse and I talk about this. We try to be pretty charitable, right? There's plenty of things that we can give to, and we try to be strategic and sort of effective in the things that we give to. But then we also do things like spend money on making our yard nice, right? Yeah. And there's I'm less like it'll. If I were to like present it to Jesse, and I were to say, you know what, we can make the pool nicer, or we could take all that money and we could give it to somebody who needs it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, so from a strict moral standpoint, should you give away all your money and everything, and do nothing for yourself until you have done all those things for other people? It's like when I get into a place where I'm like, I'm sure there's somebody who's going to live their life like that, but I'm like, okay, I don't want to be irresponsible and I want to be generous, but I also want to spend some money on something that I feel like me and my family are going to enjoy. But I can't sit around and think like, oh, you know what, if you hadn't have gotten that, if you hadn't have installed this thing at your house that you wanted and put these speakers up in your backyard, you could have given speakers to somebody else.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's a healthy way to live, because you can always find something that you can make yourself feel obligated to do. Because in another sense, it also makes you, it centers you.
Yeah.
In the conversation. Like, oh, well, if I had done this, it would have solved the problem, or it would have meant that much to this guy if I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
There's an element of it that it gets into centering
I think in
yourself.
that it's like, I met the guy once, I don't know him, I'm not really his friend. It's like, and I think when Nick asked me to go, you had something planned specifically. I didn't have anything specifically planned. And so Nick asked, do you want to go with me? So he didn't have to drive all the way by himself.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's how he put it to me. And then it was, I don't know. I regret not, we had the friend who just had the birthday, and it was like, and this had, I don't know.
I regret this.
This is a regret.
I regret.
A shared regret.
I regret
everybody.
this.
So,
and he listens to this podcast, so.
Well, he's not. Don't listen to this part. Or don't want to spoil this. I don't spoil it. It's gonna be awkward. A lot of people are doing this type of thing. I think this is he was turning 40, and I think it is like it's more of a middle-aged thing. I don't think when people turn 20 or 25 this happens, but maybe it does in certain circles. But this is definitely not an out of the blue request from his wife. Hey, this is a secret. Can you write a note for, he's turning 40, for his birthday,
And mail it.
Mail it. He's gonna really appreciate that. I mean, we had another. The way that it first started happening was YouTubers would like contact us that we knew, like YouTube friends or like their partners, and would say, we did it for Philip DeFranco a long time ago. Back when we were doing, hey, I'm doing a surprising Phil for his birthday. Can you do a little video snippet, send it to me, and I'm going to create this montage. It's the private version.
And then there was another. This request has come in 3 different times in the past 3 months. Now the first one that came in was a YouTube friend, and it was their partner saying, "Hey, I'm doing this thing to celebrate his birthday," but they sent us a link that you could just go to a website and hit record. And you were recording a message to them. Or
send a voice, like record a voice memo with your phone and email it to me.
And I did that.
And you know what I did? Right when I got the email, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it right now. Because if I say I'm gonna do it later, I'll never get back to it, because there's never a time. You know what? I want to do? I want to drop everything I'm doing, and I want to sit down and record a voice memo 6 times, because I'm not happy with the first 5. Talking about how, trying to make somebody feel good on their birthday. It's just, it's not the first thing you ever want to do. But I just went ahead and did it.
But then I got a second request from somebody that we worked with at one point.
Yes.
And I actually thought about doing that one. But there was a slight extra piece of it. It was more like, send your video to this email address or something, and I was like, am I gonna do this? And it's not somebody that we're in regular contact with at this point.
Even though I saw him at a restaurant right before COVID. He was very nice to me.
Yeah.
And I was very happy to see him. But
I almost did that one.
I don't regret that one.
But I don't regret it. But when the third one came in.
I really regret
This
this.
is one of our really good friends
I mean,
who on a regular basis we're in contact with. And it was his wife who was organizing this, but it came through one of our other mutual friends. And when it came in, there was like a deadline. It was, you know, not that this is an excuse, but the deadline was like, we need this in a week. And I remember thinking, when it came in, I was like, this is gonna be tough for me to do. But I'm gonna do it. And when I say tough, I mean like, I gotta write a letter. I gotta mail it. I mean, just the other day, or like last month.
I didn't even remember that it had to be made.
I needed to mail something to our, like our business people. I needed to mail something to them.
I had to mail it too, yeah.
And
Come to find out, I mailed it a month before you did, because you apparently don't remember how to mail.
no, I haven't mailed anything in so long. I was like, do we have envelopes? And then I was like, do we have stamps? And Jesse's just like me. She's like, I don't know. Like, we don't mail things.
Yeah, I had to walk into the post office and do all of that.
It took me a month to mail a letter. That was like an important thing. And so
The
I
bottom
knew
line
this
is-
was going to be trouble, but I was like, I'm going to do this because this guy means a lot to me, and I want to communicate that.
Well, he means a lot to me too.
Yeah, I'm sure you had every intention to do it as well. But then I completely forgot about it. Like,
Yeah.
it was like I had
Yeah.
a moment, and I didn't write it down because I'm not good at that. I didn't write it down, and then a week passes, and then the next week passes, and then you say to me, hey, did you write that letter to our friend? And I was like, oh crap, I didn't. And it's a week late. And then I felt really bad.
And then we got on the phone with him, and he was talking to, I was like, how was your birthday? Because we had talked about how his birthday was coming up, but I didn't talk to him about the letter thing. And he talked about his birthday. He was like, man, it was a good day. It was, and he talked
Got a
about all
bunch
this.
of letters.
He talked about all the stuff that happened, and he talked about the letters he got, and I just kind of like, I nodded my head. I was like, he doesn't know that I was prompted to write a letter. I'm more of a recent reconnect.
He knows now.
He knows now. Shoot.
Yeah, we shouldn't have said anything about it.
And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I said to myself, you know what I'm going to do?
I'm not going to talk about it.
When he was telling me, I got these letters, like my wife got all these people to write these letters, and it was really cool, and I was like nodding my head, and I was thinking at that moment, I was like, damn it. I really wanted to express that
Yeah.
his friendship means a lot to me, and then I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a letter anyway, and I'm going to send it to him.
And you still haven't done
And then
it. Hold on, but let me just say.
when he turns 80, I'll do it.
I thought that was only in multiples of 40. I thought that what you were about to say, because again, this would be a very Link thing to do. When the moment that he is on the video chat, and I think I was either not present for
You
that
weren't
video
present.
chat. The moment he starts talking about it is the moment that all of a sudden you say, "Hey, man,
I was going to
I want to tell you that I got the message about it, but I didn't do it, and I don't have a good excuse for it." And then and it's coming from a good place. I mean, most of the time it's coming from a really good place, but you would say something that would make him feel awkward.
Well, you know
and
what?
So I'm really glad that you didn't.
I didn't say anything because I
didn't
said
say
at that
anything.
moment he's talking about what a good birthday he had. I'm not going to be
And
like,
then it would just be about the fact that Link forgot doing this, and it was
Yeah.
everybody's talking about that. So you made the right call in not talking about it. We probably shouldn't even talk about it on the podcast, but too good for that.
would you like that, by the way, for one of your birthdays, for a bunch of people to write you a letter? I mean, I think that was kind of his love language. Like his wife knew that.
It does not strike me as something that I would be into. I would
I think-
appreciate it if I were to read it. I'd be like, oh, this is actually really meaningful and nice.
Words of affirmation. I think I would be into it.
But it's not something that I would think to request. And I'm not saying he requested it.
He didn't.
I'm just saying that I don't think that it's something that, like my wife would. First of all, it would require a level of logistical planning that neither of us, me or my wife, are capable of to organize. But we can plan a really cool party. So that's probably what we would do. But it wouldn't be, I'm going to get letters.
I don't know how that makes you seem, but it didn't seem good. We
I'm-
can plan a cool party.
I'm saying that We can plan a party, but we can't plan multiple people sending things to one place and it being
You know
done
what?
on time.
If he's listening, let's just do it right now. Matt, you're a great.
Let's see. Now this is the moment where if I'm like the part of your brain that like speaks sensibly to you, I say, don't do this because you're going to end up saying something. You're going to make light of it. The whole thing ends up being less than so, right. But now that you started,
I'm ridden with guilt. Guilt is riding me. Like
you struggle with guilt. You struggle with a lot of guilt. I've noticed this. It's interesting when you said, I don't have a lot of regrets. I did think of a lot of regrets.
And then I
thought like, it's constantly regret. It's my impression.
it's better to regret something you did.
Well,
That's the thing. The things that are getting me are the things I can't do. You know? What would have happened if I would have gone to that funeral?
Well, again, you can't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Because it probably would have been.
What
He would have
it
been.
was an
He would have been touched, and you would have felt good about
It
it.
was forget the funeral. It was a great opportunity to tell my friend that I really do love him and appreciate him, and I blew it.
Yeah.
Blew it off.
And now,
At least I regret it. You don't even seem to regret it.
I did told you from the beginning. I regret it, but I
But
don't.
you don't seem it.
Well, no, because I don't think that. I don't know how fruitful it is to like just beat yourself up over it. Like if you're gonna do something about it to rectify it, yes. But if you're not gonna do anything to rectify it, why are you gonna sit there and feel bad about it?
Well, I want to feel just bad enough to not to do something to do differently next time.
That's okay. So here's what I decided about that situation. I was like, you know what? He'll think this is funny. Like he'll think the fact that we're talking about it is funny, right? Like he'll get a kick out of this.
And you know what? I'm not ridden with guilt about it. I just think this is funny too. No, it's
No. But you're not listening to what I'm saying. I feel bad about it, but I know that he doesn't think like
he's not crushed.
he's
that
not
we
like,
didn't
oh,
write
I
a
can't.
letter.
I know that they don't actually care about me or love me because I didn't send them. But what the action that I want to take is not to be like, hey, I feel like I need to make this right with you. In other words, like
Yeah, we didn't wrong him.
I decided to go ahead and write you something. No, what I'm going to do is the next time a request of that nature comes in, I need to remember if you actually want to do this,
Do
you
it
need to
right
know you need to do it right now. Because if you do not do it right now, you're not going to do it. And if you actually want to do it right now.
I think you could have just emailed. Been like, listen, I'm going to do it right now, but I'm only going to be able to email it. Is that okay? Here it is.
Well, I thought about that, but in the moment it felt like,
I'm going to do this on my terms.
yeah, like I'm usurping the process.
I ain't got time. I don't know how stamps work.
They wanted it to be physical mail, and so I listen. I think that it's not that I don't regret. It's just that I don't find it. I don't know what the benefit of just sitting around and thinking about it. Like that, the situation. I understand why you feel bad about
They're
not going to
they're
the.
two different things. Don't bring up the funeral anymore.
Okay, all right.
Forget about that. I agree with that. And the other thing I think is we can just move on.
Something that there's absolutely no question that you should have done. It feels different than something that you're asking the question of, should I have done that?
Also, I think the letter thing was better.